God of War, baby! We have approached the 30-day countdown till the new Kratos epic unleashes itself upon our weary souls, April 20th. But first, today, an entire mythology of new video and new info has been unveiled, and that is what we're talking about. We're watching this PlayStation footage for the first time. I haven't seen it yet, so this is going to be super cool. I've read a lot, but I haven't seen it, and I've got the volume turned way down just because there is developer commentary over it, and it get a little confusing. But basically, people are loving this. They got to play the first couple hours of the game, and they're saying it's incredible, and they're saying it's emotional, and they're saying it is the revitalization and the retooling that God of War absolutely needed. And it looks like this is going to be another just Sony standout. So I personally was very excited to hear a lot about combat, and so that's where I went first in terms of info that I wanted to get to gain. And so we'll talk about that as we watch. This axe is just so crazy. I love how he's just tearing people apart, and how he can throw it and use it to knock them over, but also, as you'll see here in a second, to hold them in place, which I think is pretty fantastic. But Cory Barlog, who is basically Mr. God of War at this point, wanted to make sure that this game brought about more of a cerebral element to the combat. There's the freeze. That's so freaking cool. And that there was more of a thinking man's God of War this time around. They mentioned Dark Souls, and that they did not want to completely ape Dark Souls, but that they realized God of War previously was go in, go ham with your combos, don't breathe, and then when it's all done, you can finally let some air in, you can finally take a rest, and then it kind of is just like this mass chaos, mass aggression, mass go, and they wanted to kind of walk things back to the point where it could be a little bit more of a mental exercise in how to tactically take down an encounter, and that they want different players to experience encounters in a different way. And that really comes into play with that shield, and how even when you're defensive, you can use Kratos' son to bring in some offensive attributes with the arrows, so that it very much is just this like concert of pain, but that there also is a maestro, and that maestro is you. Whereas before it was a little bit more just like go through the progressions, mash, get your combos, and crush. It still looks just as cool, but it definitely evokes a different pace and a different mentality, and I am so about that. Possibly just as exciting, or for some players even more, is this emphasis on exploration and on story and on emotion. Now, if you're like me, or pretty much any gamer of this generation, you love Last of Us. And that is sort of, for me, the bar of telling an emotional story, especially a relationship story, right? In that case, sort of a pseudo-father-daughter relationship. This one, a father-son. So you know that there's going to be comparisons drawn. I don't think they are expected nor need to reach that level, but it seems like they're at least gunning for something in the ballpark, which is pretty darn cool. So even though you will fight these giant bosses and these massive trolls, there's a lot of dialogue going on that help build a relationship. There's a lot of cutscenes that will obviously further dive deeper into what's all going on here, and how Kratos and his son interact and engage. And then just the way they experience the world together, even some like, more Uncharted-y elements to the game, where you're going up and coming across lore and mythology and writings on the wall and things of that sort. I've also read that the upgrades are really cool and that the game is massive. Now, in the same interview when discussing the combat, Cory Barlog did say he did not want it to be an open world game, so it's not that. And I did see a couple of comparisons like, ooh, this may have content on the level of like Horizon, and I can't speak to the size of the game or the scope. I mean, if it is that length, that's incredible. But it seems to honestly be my favorite kind of game, which is a game that has openness, exploration, upgrading, but is linear and focused in a way that the designers created the experience they wanted you to see and feel and experience. To me, that's so critical. Games are an art form, and I want to feel and live the artist's art. And so I love when there is a sense of, autonomy, and you can do what you will, but that it is a guided experience. And frankly, I thought the campaign in Horizon was pretty well driven for an open world game, but here we're going to get something even more linear, and personally I like that. Third person action adventure, third person shooter, those are like my favorite games of the last decade, and so I think this is going to be brilliant. You'll notice that the axe is the weapon he wields most often, but they are sure to point out that there will be magic-based attacks, and you have your son as well. The shield is powerful too. Love the destruction. It's a showpiece title. It's pushing the PS4 Pro. Here's one of those moments where you come upon something in the world. One, it's beautiful. Very nice. And we're used to God of War having spectacle, but I don't feel like these sort of slower moments are something that were emphasized, but it seems like this is going to be a major part. You know, Cory Barlog is a dad, Kratos is a dad, and so that is going to be reflected in the game. It's stunning to see these different looks and sights. But even when Kratos drops off his axe in an enemy and freezes him, they emphasize that they want to make Kratos still feel powerful without. So he has brutal melee attacks. That shield can be very aggressive. And then, oh God, look at that. Oh God. If you thought that like the whole emotional Kratos was going to make him soft, that is not the case. Not the case. Combat is still brutal, and you're working with your son to rip people apart. So even though their bond seems to be sentimental, it sure is bloody as well. Although these guys don't really bleed. They more erupt into like orange jelly. Get a little Sunset Overdrive goo field there. All right, threat indicators here. Incoming projectiles, incoming melee. That's pretty cool. The environments, you know, obviously they've sort of changed up perspective and whatnot. So the environments and the way that the battles and attacks occur is going to be different and unique. At least unique for this franchise. But I love some of the smaller effects. Look how the snow is falling so unevenly as you battle. It's a brilliantly beautiful game at pause, but then in action with all the particle effects from his weapons, from the shield, the clashing. You also have his son doing work, the freezing, the snow falling, the lights coming in, sort of the little bit of the fog or the mist. Like, this is an insane game, and I remember thinking God of War 3 looked so darn good, and it was so incredible for how much they did and some of the scope and the size of some of those encounters. But I think if you go back and look, like, my goodness, we've come a far way. And it's exciting to see, like, game after game being the spectacle for PlayStation 4. And whether you have a Pro or not, I think God of War 4 is going to look absolutely fan-freaking-tastic. I'm most excited that they decided to do something differently, because how often do we see franchises sort of run themselves into the ground eventually? And maybe not even from their overall success or their overall performance, but just because of, you know, repetitiveness, right? Monotony. And that's something they clearly were like, from day one, we do not want here. And I love that. I'm very curious to see enemy variety. I know it'll be there. We're just seeing opening sections. A lot of these same type enemies. And just in general, I guess I'm intrigued because of the Norse mythology. It's going to be a whole different slew of foes than what we've come to know from the Greek mythology of Kratos' past. It looks freaking fantastic, and I feel like it's my most anticipated game of the year. It has been from the start. And I just, it sounds like it's going to live up to that. You can see different strength of enemies, the enemy bars. You do get a bit of a Dark Souls vibe. And, you know, they weren't shy about talking about that right off the bat. But it does seem faster paced. It does seem more, maybe Bloodborne is a better comparison without some of the difficulty. And obviously there are a lot of enemies on screen. And you're looking to definitely engage more foes at once than something along the lines of Bloodborne, but you definitely can instantly see the influence, right? Goodness gracious. Rip that dude right in half. I wonder if there will be other weapons, at least other major weapons, or if the axe is sort of his go-to throughout. Now, being a God of War game, I feel like other weapons definitely have to play a role, and maybe that's just a silly question to even ask. But they have focused extensively on this axe, and how powerful it is, and what all it can do, and how it can be improved and upgraded. But I gotta believe there's more there, right? Like, that just makes sense. I love how this looks, and you know, it's sort of hard to tell just visually, or watching passively, rather, how much the sun... how much of an effect he has, how much he does. I've had issue lately with some games bringing characters, NPCs, into the fights and feeling like it's being done for you. And it sure doesn't seem the case here, especially because they seem to want you to use him strategically. Like, okay, I have to block now, so I'm going to be calling in his arrows while I'm blocking to sort of change up the aggro and get an attack from a different angle. And if that's the case, I hope that he eventually acquires more moves, so it's not just arrow button. I don't know if he will or not, but I think it'd be fun if there were multiple ways, or if he maybe improved along the way. Your son sort of learned the ropes and then was able to better assist you. Now, I don't know how that changes the balance of the game difficulty-wise, but apparently there are 4 difficulties to choose from the start. Let's mention this. And one of them like creates a separate save, the most intense. So that's interesting and exciting, and where that will go. I haven't really read through exactly what all the different bars and icons on screen are, but I did read that the upgrading was pretty satisfying, and I think we'll get to see some of that. I hope we'll get to see some of that in this footage.
There's different names, different characters. There's a lot of different interpretations of it.
Okay.
You know, when I talked to Corey
Stunned
about it,
there, but he did not capitalize.
They really wanted to kind of make their own mark on it and kind of do their own version of it.
Just going to take a moment to sort of check out these fights.
Just yet, 'cause we're just getting an early look at the game.
I like that.
But,
Contextual,
comes out, Justin.
contextual finishers there. Now you see these things that pop up, new labor.
These serious business.
I'm not sure if that's lore-based or that's challenge-based.
Great parry. Look at that.
That's incredible. Okay, so parries are in, and that one looked freaking fantastic. I love parrying in games, so that's going to be good. Not that it's a new thing for action, obviously. Ooh, look at that. Okay, Realm Shift. That's very reminiscent of Witch Time from Bayonetta, which I've been playing on my Switch. Very, very cool. And again, just really, I guess, shows and gives that kind of the new feel, right? I don't know. I feel like it very much. Okay, that is adding an entry there. So I wonder if new labor is a skill or an achievement, maybe an in-game something of the sort. All right, so here you're getting more of the Tomb Raider on the Uncharted side of things, right? Shout out to Shadow of the Tomb Raider, super pumped for that one as well. Not as much as God of War, but it's up there. And I do hope there are segments and sections of the game that really involve bonding time as we, go through the Norse lands. I think that'll be very cool. Some peaceful moments. Now, not the longest peaceful moment there. I heard them say that this is the Revenant. Looking like a very awesome character, and so far, like, the world design and just the art design, to me, is, like, super on point.
So it's battles like this that really show you how integral Atreus is. He's not just a companion, he's absolutely a part.
And they're referencing, how integral Atreus, his son, is here, because he's, stunning and really helping this work when you can't get to this character's teleport. Yikes-a-mania. Again, Kratos, there may be more emotional, but he has not gone soft. Okay, new kill labor. Okay, so yeah, and then there's XP acquired. I'm so just eager to know all of this.
Fun little character.
All right,
This guy's name?
little blue man NPC leading the way.
Okay, bro.
Little blue guy.
This guy cracked me up.
Yeah, this I didn't know what to make of this character, but
Okay, sweet. Okay, so Brock's shop is an upgrade station. Upgrade your axe. Oh, wow. So it's a lot of different bars there. Strength, vitality, luck, defense. Nice, nice, nice. So it looks like we're upgrading.
This
Cooldown is over there. So weapon upgrades. There's character upgrades, it looks like.
on here than I was expecting, to be totally honest.
Different armor. Okay, this is sick. I love this. I really haven't seen a whole lot. I've kind of tried to keep things, blind going in, but I was so pumped to hear all the praise that I wanted to look into it. So many more upgrades and much more going on stat-wise to sort of add that RPG feel.
That upgraded
And even you see like a luck category, like again, getting a little bit of a fusion of different franchises and different genres, which I think is really darn cool. And enemies like to shop too, so they're showing up right here as we go to work with that axe.
so satisfying.
that parry is so.
That parry right there again, very, very nice.
Oh yeah, big time.
And combos are definitely a big thing as well.
There's gonna be some things better.
They made mention of like lining up different enemies. And ooh, look at that. That was pretty
There's a
cool.
lot of environment interaction, kicking guys
I'm talking about a lot of environment interaction, being able to utilize and strategically employ the environment to your advantage. This is sort of a montage, I guess. I thought it was a straight-through gameplay, but I guess it's like a montage of different elements. But we are getting to see more environmental diversity. I'm guessing he'll eventually go to crazy, like, god-level places. Right now, it seems to be a very coherent world. And if you remember, they said that there will be no fades to black in this game, that it is all one consistent adventure, and you'll know where Kratos goes from start to finish, which I think is incredibly cool and something I massively respect. I remember back in the day playing Alan Wake and seeing off in the distance the gas station, and they're like, you got to get there. It seems so far away, but no, like, you legit actually got there. And so I think it's super cool that God of War is implementing that. But I would be very surprised if there weren't some, like, crazy ball environments either towards the end, or Kratos, you know, falls into someone's evil den or something of the sort. Ooh, what is that? Oh, he's going to read this to us, I guess? That's kind of cool. So Atreus serves as our scribe and our translator. He's pulling the lore straight off the tablet and granting it to us, giving us a little bit of love there.
A lot more coming, so stay with us, but we've got a lot more.
I'm guessing that's like a puzzle or something of the sort. Anyhow, that's going to wrap up the chunk of gameplay that they unleashed today. It looks so freaking good. Let me know your take in the comments down below. I'm so pumped for April 20th. Cannot wait to play this game. I want it. You guys know I love The Last of Us. You guys know in the past I've loved God of War, I've loved Bayonetta, I love Dark Souls. So a fusion of all of those elements into one, storytelling, combat, RPG, great pacing, and then artistic vision that is linear while still open. Whew. I feel like this one's going to be real hard to beat for a game of the year. But hey, there's plenty of more awesome titles. Red Dead, Tomb Raider. It doesn't stop with God of War. Frankly, it kind of starts with God of War. So I'm super pumped. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know your take in the comments down below. Drink so much. Thanks again, and we will see you all later.